Do you know anyone who's done the pack or is considering doing it? And what do you think makes one do the pack over a marriage?
Alors, the packs. I don't know anyone who's done the packs, and I was wondering to myself why, actually, because it's something which is spread in France. I think when you tend to packs when you don't want to marry, when you are against marriage, when you have I don't know, it's something also which is belonging to the personal background. Personally, my parents are still married. Everyone in my family is married, so I would say I'm influenced by that. I would say I would rather marry than packs.
Do you think your family would be upset if you did the packs?
No, but okay, I've got a very tolerant family, so I don't think in France, in the entire France, there are some people who hate packs. Because originally we must say that the packs was created for homosexuals so that they can engage one to the other and they can have a financial security. When someone dies, the other person can have something. So it was to give them the possibility to have the same rights as married persons. And nowadays you have some heterosexuals who don't want to marry because they are afraid of the notion of engagement, and they think that if they packs, it will be less difficult to break. And so there are lots of people around 30 men, because women, they always want to marry. Let's be frank, it's a fact. And the men would say, okay, I'm going to packs, I will have the financial security, but I don't have this sacred engagement, which is sometimes frightening, especially for children of divorce. So it's a thing which is, I don't know, replacing marriage and sometimes reassuring people. I wouldn't do that because I mean the big cliche of having a red dress, a white dress.
You didn't have prom. They're not going to take away the wedding dress.
Yeah, and I would like to. I don't know. I see in the church and everything. So I think there's the tradition which is influencing me.
I see. Interesting. Also, have you noticed in France if people are getting married later in life, and if so, what do you think influences this decision?
Yeah, I think it depends. There are two categories. You have people who are getting married very early, around 22. Sometimes I know people who are younger than me. I'm 23, and they are married. So, and sometimes I can see also people who are around 35. They are not married, and it depends on once again on the background. When you have married people, parents just like me, it seems obvious. You will follow approximately the same scheme. So my parents married around 30. So I would say I wouldn't marry around 22, 23. It would seem too rapid for me. But you never say you don't. You can say never because it can happen. So, yeah. So I don't know. But if I meet the love of my life, I could marry around 25. I don't know. You never know. But children of divorce, they would rather tend to wait a lot. They would live with the person during 5 years. Sometimes you can meet people who lived with the same person during 10 years, and they are finally getting married. They already have children. So it's a question of personal background, traumas, psychology, etc. Yeah, and also sometimes the social life, because today women we want to have a job, we want to make studies. Some people want to make PhDs.
The crazy ones.
Yeah, the crazy ones. So this is very long. So you don't want to. I don't know. There are crazy people making PhDs who are married, but there are some of us who are waiting. I don't know. And sometimes you also wait for money to organize the marriage. this is depending on each situation.
Right, right. Great. And what about children? Do you think people in France are having smaller families than before, or deciding not to have children? And what do you think influences this?
I think they have less children than before. You can see every generation. My father, he had 3 brothers and sisters. My mother too. Then they had me and my sister, 2 children. And so I think, and my grandmother, she had I don't know, 4 sisters and brothers, something like that. So from generation to generation, we tend to have less children because life is more expensive. You have to pay for studies. You also want to have a comfortable life, so you want to have a certain how would you say that, comforts?
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, they have less children, and it is also depending on the fact that I was mentioning before. Women, they want to make studies, they want to have jobs, so they don't especially want to break a career. For children, they know they can wait. We have the medical assistance. We know that if we don't have children around 30, we can have around 35, and even in 40 you see a lot of stars, of American stars who have children, so we know we can wait, so
right.
we take the time.
Do you perceive differences in how the French perceive the family value, or the value of family, and the way the Americans perceive the value of the family?
Okay, the family value, I think it's sacred in both countries. This is very important. During Christmas, the family tends to find,
reunite.
Yeah, reunite, and you have those great dinners with a table of around 20 persons. This is huge, but we don't have a thing just like, I don't know, Thanksgiving. In the US, I noticed that during Thanksgiving, you will invite a friend, but you will also stay with your family. And in France, apart from Christmas, I don't know if we make a huge reunion. Perhaps yes, for the weddings. For the weddings, this is the only time I saw my entire family in total, in totality.
Sure, all there.
My English. And so yeah, and also for me personally, I moved a lot, so my close family is my sister and my parents. And when I was living on an island, I was very far from my family, which is in Paris or Lorraine or Brittany, and this is very spread in France. So I'm very close to my parents and my family, perhaps less to my other cousins or things like that. So I don't know, perhaps the notion of family in France is more restricted than in the US. Restricted in the sense that this is less, we just count the persons who are very, very, very close.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps. I don't know if it's a French thing or it's just my case. It's sure it's my case, I think. You know, I have cousins I've never seen. This is sad to say, but we don't have time. They're living in other parts. We don't have a huge reunion apart from Christmas, and sometimes you are spending Christmas with the family of Paris, but the family of Brittany is somewhere else. So we can see each other, but it's a bit more. It's a bit less in the mentality.